What up, guys? Today we're going to be talking about how strong is Galactus, and we're going to be going through almost all of his comic book appearances. I'm just not going to be doing the ones where he had crossover events with, Marvel and DC, or where he was in a parody character story like Squirrel Girl or Gwenpool, because those are pretty nonsensical. So I'm going to be mainly focusing on the regular stories that he was in and story events. Now, I will also say that this video is going to be a little bit confusing in some parts because, one, a lot of this information that I got in this research I did was over the span of over a month or maybe around 2 months. So I've been doing this for quite a while now, and some of the parts I did forget. So I'm going to really be just rereading what is shown, like from the images that I'm going to be putting up here in this video. So I will be, if you hear me talking and it sounds like I'm just reading something, I am literally directly reading it because I have like 655 images saved up on my computer, so it's too hard to remember all that. And I had to go through like around 360 comic books, so it's gonna be a little confusing there, so bear with me. Also, I will be talking about other characters besides Galactus in this story. I will be talking about, Silver Surfer, the other heralds of Galactus. I will be talking about Thor, Odin, Molecule Man, Beyonder. I'm going to be talking about all these other characters that don't have to do with him, but they have some connection or correlation to his power, and it explains how powerful he is more and where he lies in the cosmology of Marvel itself. Also, we'll be talking about the cosmology itself of Marvel quite a bit because there's quite a bit of interesting things I have to go through with that. So before I get into this video, I do want to also give a shout out to 2 new subscribers of mine. One by the name of Mr. Blue Check, so big thank you to you, and Tyler Quick, so big thank you to both of you for subscribing to the channel. Now let's get into the video. Now the first feat we see is when Galactus first arrives in the Fantastic Four comics. He sends Silver Surfer to check out the Earth, and as Silver Surfer is flying to the Earth, it says right here, even as Reed speaks, a gigantic star in a distant galaxy explodes, transforming itself into a mighty supernova. As the incredible impact fills the heavens, the escaping gases catch the Silver Surfer, flying him outwards across the endless void. Further and further travels the strange space wandering, riding the shockwaves, the rolling gases across countless light years, heading in the direction of the Milky Way, in which needless of our solar system and the planet Earth. So basically, a supernova, explodes, and he's able to handle the explosion of it. He's also riding the gas of the supernova at light speed, moving to the Earth at, faster than light speeds. We don't know how fast, but still pretty incredibly fast. So this showcases he can handle the intensity of the supernova's explosion and the heat, and also he is able to move at many times the speed of light. So that's also pretty impressive. Later on, as the story transitions, Silver Surfer kind of changes his mind and he turns to the good side. He helps out the Fantastic Four, and as he helps them out, Reed Richards gets into contact with one of the Watchers, and as the Watchers, he's talking to him, he basically gives him the ultimate nullifier to help him to beat Galactus. And he even warns him, saying, stop, you must never turn the controller levers to full power. That could erase the entire solar system in 1 microsecond. Now heed me as I tell you what must be done. So basically, he gives him the weapon. This is the only weapon that can stop him at this point and beat him. And he also warns him, saying, hey, look, don't turn it to full power, because if you do in a microsecond, it could easily obliterate a solar system. So casually, it can wipe out a solar system within like a microsecond. This isn't its full power, but it's still pretty impressive just from, an instant of how powerful it is. And then we get a little bit more of a explanation on how powerful it is as Reed Richards tries to use it on Galactus, or threatens to use it on Galactus. He says right here, in the name of the eternal cosmos, put it down. Your feeble mind cannot begin to comprehend its powers. You hold the means to destroy a galaxy, to lay waste to a universe. And then Reed Richards replies saying, and should the universe crumble, can Galactus survive it? So basically, we have a statement from Galactus that the ultimate nullifier at its weakest point would be able to wipe out a galaxy, and at its highest point a universe. So if we were to look at the ranging of power, lowest end galaxy, highest end universal, which is very powerful. And Reed Richards, with him replying with, can you survive the destruction of the universe, also restates that that this weapon can wipe out an entire universe, and that's too much for Galactus. So just from this feat alone, it kind of puts Galactus a bit below Universal. We don't know how much below Universal, but he's definitely below Universal because a Universal level threat was too much for him and too dangerous for him. Later on, we have a little bit of a backstory for Silver Surfer when he was Norrin Rad and then got turned into the Silver Surfer. We see, a little bit demonstration on what the power cosmic can do. And Galactus basically states to Silver Surfer, he says right here, your body has been completely encased in the life preserving silver substance of my own creation, a substance which can shield you from the heat, from cold, from lack of oxygen. From this moment forth, neither the frigid, narrowing chills of emptiness of airless space, nor the all-consuming inferno of the hottest sun can cause you harm. So basically, he's stating that with the power cosmic, a little bit of it, and he mentions it later on in the stories, that he only gives his heralds like a fraction of his power. But with even a fraction of his power, it gives him the ability to resist, have high heat and cold resistance. Be able to survive without oxygen at all and fly and travel throughout outer space and faster than light speeds. And the resistance to extreme temperatures is so high that even the frigid cold of outer space doesn't affect him, and the heat of the hottest suns will not hurt him either. So that's very impressive. Later on, we have a big battle between Thor and Hercules. They're fighting against Ego, the living planet, which he's in an enraged state and he is just going all out. And in this enraged state, he basically is easily handling Thor and Hercules. He sends off a blast, destroying planetoids. It says right here, power enough to shatter the lifeless planetoids around me. Planetoids are basically giant asteroids the size of planets, so it's still like a planet level feat. He was able to wipe out multiple planets and then take out Thor and Hercules to the point that they were in such a dangerous position that they're like, oh hell no, we need some help. So as they were doing this, they got into contact with Galactus to work with him to help beat off Ego. And it states right here, Galactus himself states that he says right here, and you gain a few more months of existence before the current falls on your personal drama forever. I never had felt such a power, never had felt such a rage. It equaled no, surpassed my own. Before Ego, I had become no more than a dust mote. So Ego is basically talking shit to him, saying, yo, you have nothing on me. I'm going to easily beat your ass. And then even Galactus himself states that, yeah, his power, his rage is so much that it has surpassed my own, and he makes me look like a speck of dust. So, yeah, Galactus is powerful, but he can be beaten by other, beings, and even somebody like Ego the Living Planet in an enraged state could, surpass his power, which is, Ego is a powerful character, but still, he's not that overly powerful. So the fact that in an enraged Ego is able to surpass his power just showcases that Galactus might not be as powerful as a lot of people think he is. Galactus also states that he says right here, our powers are too evenly matched. Any battle between us could only result in the destruction of us both. I must find someone someone whose strength may offset Ego's might, a being with the will and force of a god. So he's basically asking Thor and Hercules to help him to beat Ego. He says they're evenly matched, but then he also admitted that he was too much for him. And we also have, another statement later on where he states that, even their combined powers is not enough for him. But before that, there was quite an interesting statement by Odin. He's wondering why Thor and, Galactus are working together, and he says right here, I must know the answer, else all the universe may be destroyed. So he's so concerned about this fight and the situation that he's saying that the universe might be in jeopardy. So this battle is probably on a universal level scale between those two. But like I said, Galactus, even though he said that they're comparable in power, it's not true, because he says then later on, then we must stand firm, Asgardian, for the power of Ego is great, perhaps greater than all of our power combined. Greater even than the strength of Hercules, vast one. He says, perhaps so Olympian, the insane sometimes may have power beyond their normal abilities, and make no mistake. So obviously this isn't Ego's regular power, because even Galactus stated sometimes when people are just enraged and completely losing their mind, they can have powers beyond their own abilities. So this is power beyond his own abilities, but still an enraged ego is stronger than both Galactus, Thor, Hercules, and one of his own herald. I think his name was Firestorm or something like that. So even with their combined power, they can't match an enraged ego living planet. So that's impressive. We also, in the story event, as it happens, basically Galactus turns on the Thor and Hercules, and as this happens, Thor and Hercules create the God Blast, sending him flying, light years in space until he goes back into his ship, and he isn't completely hurt, but he is damaged enough where he can't fight anymore, and he just runs away. So the God Blast from Thor was enough to knock Galactus back and having him leaving the spot. Then later on we see a little bit more of how powerful Galactus's heralds are, and remember this, like I said, I'm going to be talking about his heralds and these other characters because they have to do with Galactus's power, especially the heralds, because they have been given some of his power to them, right? So whatever they can do, he can do even more. So we see right here as he turns a new herald named Thrax, and he starts showcasing off his power. He says right here, observe, but with the wave of his transformed hand, Thrax may lift an earthen mountain from the bowels of its long dead world, and or with yet another further, he must crumble that mountain so much as ash and dust. So he was able to casually lift up a mountain with the telekinesis ability that was given to him, or I think he has I forgot what it's called, like gyrokinesis. Like he has the ability to control the earth. So he was able to, with that power, to lift up an entire mountain and then blow it into pieces until it was just ash and dust, which is pretty impressive. This is like a nuke level, like highly powerful nuclear bomb level feat, where he's able to lift up, a giant mountain, which would be millions of tons, and then also blow it apart, which would be like a nuclear explosion. After this, we have him coming to Earth, and he's kind of going off, and he sets off a blast, and it says right here, with his cosmic axe grasped firmly in the mighty hand, Thrax whistles it above his stony head, and then in enraged display of power, his axe lashes down forward towards the pavement at the speed of light. He, with the swing of his power, or with his, with the swing of the axe, he was able to swing it so hard and so fast that it was like moving at light speed. So these characters not only have, very destructive power, but they also can hit very fast. So the fact that he can swing a weapon and have the attack at light speed, that means that he could also possibly punch at light speed too. After this, we have the Fantastic Four fighting against him, and Mr. Fantastic, what's the name? The Human Torch fires a blast at him, says here, get a try of Nova Blast, heat up to the starship as much as possible as I can. Come on, Blabbermouth, let's see what it takes you to knock you down. And he says right here, it takes more than you are capable of, fool. I have the power to soar through suns. So even the Human Torch's firepower at max has literally no effect on him, and Thrax literally states that he's able to go through suns, which, as we stated before with Silver Surfer, and as we've seen with Silver Surfer going through the supernova itself, it makes sense. But he, as this happens, the Human Torch does hit a pipe that sends out the cool air that freezes him, and it actually encases him and freezes him. So even though he has resistance to heat and cold, still he can be frozen because he was frozen by the liquid ice itself. So he is definitely powerful, but he's not they do have resistance to these stuff, but that doesn't mean that it's 100%. They do have high resistance, but for some reason, I think he has more resistance to heat than cold, I'm guessing. So after this, we have this whole story event with this ancient Egyptian pharaoh who got the powers of immortality, and he was a very big, powerful threat, so they brought Galactus there to fight him. So they had a whole battle between those two, and as this fight happens, he tries to attack him, and Galactus basically starts to absorb his power. It says right here, Sphinx, you share the folly of all of your lowly species. You believe that power itself makes one a god, but even Galactus, to whom all is possible, even Galactus, every passing whim becomes reality. Even Galactus is no god. My patience has reached an end. My tolerance for you and your actions is gone. I will no longer brook my delay to the revenge of this world's energy. And I'm Galactus, I'm the all. So basically, Galactus states, even though I'm very powerful, I'm not a god. A lot of beings that are very powerful consider themselves a god. So he doesn't consider himself a god on that level. And this is pretty impressive, this feat right here, because the Sphinx had immortality, okay? He was immortal. But while he was fighting against Galactus, Galactus was not only able to absorb his energy, but also take away his immortality. There's this little thing that he took away from him. It was like this little scarab thing that gave him the immortality, and he was able to take it away. So Galactus not only can absorb energy, but he can even take away some people's, immortalities if it was given through another means. And as this happens, he basically punishes the Sphinx for attacking him, and he says right here, enough, Galactus is not interested in this dialogue. Galactus must do what Galactus must do. Sphinx, you who have disbanded your immortality, who have sought out to end your eternal life, you earn for a peaceful death, but you have not earned such a fate. Behold, Sphinx, I have returned you to the very moment before you discovered the mystic Stone. You shall be forced to reenact all your steps. So basically what happened, not only did he take away his immortality, but he used his power to basically set him back in time and put him in a time loop. So he was able to handle his power. He was able to siphon out his immortality. Then he was able to transfer him back into the past and put him in a time loop where he keeps on finding the scarab, keep on going through the same events, getting immortality, living for thousands of years, fighting Galactus, and then going back to it again. So this showcases, how powerful he is. It showcases that he has the ability to not only, manipulate time, but also put people in time loops. And then after this, Galactus turns his sight on the Fantastic Four because they brought him there to fight the Sphinx, so he's going to fight them. But as this happened, Reed Richards basically scared and tricked Galactus with a fake ultimate nullifier. He was like, oh no, don't use this. So he left, but it wasn't a real one. And normally Galactus can read people's minds, but it says right here by the Watcher, he says, your leader knew Galactus could not read his thoughts because I was already monitoring them. A constant probing created interference and Galactus could not penetrate. So yes, even though Galactus, and I know in the death battle with Galactus versus Unicron, they said his psychic abilities can work on anybody and even gods and stuff like that. It is very powerful, but it does have limits because he wasn't able to read Richards' mind and find out that he was bluffing because the Watcher basically gave him some psychic protection. So somebody like the Watcher can basically, protect somebody's psyche from Galactus's invasion. So he does have limitations in that regard. Later on, we see a story event with Silver Surfer. He wants to see the beginning of the universe and learn about, or the end of the universe. He wants to learn about it. So as he's doing this, he goes on a journey, and Galactus is like, go, fine, whatever, do it. He says right here, later hours, days, or even years, they have little meaning in the deep space. There is what I seek, the most baffling sight in all the heavens. An ever-growing, ever-swelling fusion of fabric of space itself, a black hole. Only there within its stringent core can antimatter exist. Only there will I find the entrance to another universe, to secret of infinity. So he was trying to, in the story event, what he was trying to do is he wanted to venture off and learn more. So he wanted to go through a black hole and see what would be in the other end of the black hole. This is impressive because one, he can handle the gravitational pressure of a black hole. He can also handle the radiation that it's spewing and just the energy itself. He wasn't crushed or destroyed. He was able to go through the other end safely. So that means with the power cosmic, it gives him enough power to handle and withstand a black hole pretty casually and pretty easily. There was literally no problem with it, and he was also able to handle the antimatter that exists in there. So not only is he able to handle a black hole, but also the antimatter, because the power cosmic does give them an energy barrier to protect them from external harm. After this, we have another story event with Thrax, which showcases a pretty impressive feat. It says right here, he did one of the senses of shattering a telepathic bolt was enough to remain to him wary of destiny truly lie. Your treachery is blatant as your stupidity, Thrax. Return to me and face me at the reckoning. Yes, I depart once. But Thrax had no intention of returning. Galactus, in anger too horrible to contempt, I must flee. Using the power given to him, Thrax called forth a massive boulder and took once again to the space waves, knowing there. He knew there were only one place in all the universe I could not follow him, a black hole. Although as far as death, no man has ever returned from one, he chose to risk peril rather than facing me. So, what is important about this? Well, Thrax basically betrayed Galactus, and Galactus was going to punish him. And he was so terrified that he's like, I need to get out of here. I need to go somewhere where I'll be safe, that he can't reach me or can't get to me. So he said, I'm going to go into a black hole. Now, they say right here that nobody else has survived it, but, you know, they do that all the time where they go back and forth with it. But he's going into the black hole. So why is this important? One, he goes into the black hole. He actually survives it. We've already seen Silver Surfer can do it, so he can also do it. So anybody with a power cosmic can survive a black hole. Now, some of you guys are going to say, well, why can't Galactus go in there? He said Galactus couldn't go in there. But there is a bit of an explanation later on, which I'll be showing, why he couldn't go in there himself. But let's just be honest. If his Herald, with just a bit of his power cosmic, can go in there, why couldn't, Galactus do the same thing? So his Herald's able to survive a black hole, but not only that, he was so terrified of, dealing with the consequences of Galactus that he would rather go into a black hole. So that also showcases the threat of Galactus is above a black hole and above even the perils of dying. Later on, as the story transpires, Galactus needs somebody to go into the black hole itself to retrieve Thrax, because he himself can't do it, but they explain why he can't do it. And as he's doing this, he picks a human from Earth named Dazzler. He picks her and he says, hey, look, I'm going to give you some of my power cosmic because you have the ability to absorb, sound and turn it into energy. So I'm going to use you to go in the black hole to retrieve this guy. And there's some interesting dialogue here. It says right here, I saw that whole story in the head. Galactus does not really rely on words alone to convey his thoughts. That is for lesser beings. So he psychically connects to people. He doesn't need to talk to people. But why can't he just go into the hole and get Thrax? A black hole is a remnant of an exploding star. It creates a virtual vortex in space. A suction so great even light itself is absorbed. It's the ultimate destructive force. Galactus could easily survive entrance in such a space, but the introduction of energy intrusive in being as himself into the black hole would destroy it and Thrax with it. It's not Galactus' wish to end Thrax's life yet. So she asked herself, the Dazzler, like, why are you sending me to a black hole? It's very dangerous, very, powerful, and I can't handle that. So why are you sending me to it? Why doesn't Galactus just go in there to retrieve it? Especially since it's his own guy, why wouldn't he go after him, right? Now, one of his henchmen basically explains to her, he's like, hey, look, he could go in there, but the thing is, he's so powerful, and the amount of energy he has and the cosmic energy he has will kind of clash with the black hole itself. So if he goes in there, it would basically create a massive explosion, killing Thrax and possibly Galactus himself. And, he doesn't want to kill Thrax. So it isn't really the fact that he can't handle a black hole, because he literally said he could easily handle it. It's just the fact that his energy mixing with the energy of the black hole colliding is going to be very devastating. It could end up either killing Galactus or just killing Thrax, which he's not trying to kill Thrax. And it could just cause a big, problem anyway. So so Galactus himself can do it. It's just that it's not a very practical situation to do it in. And it says right here, Dazzler states also, I can't go into a black hole. I will die. Why doesn't he send you? He says, you don't understand, do you? In all the universe, none is more suited than you to combat the forces of a black hole. The black hole is a dimension of anti-light. You are a being capable of radiating unlimited luminescent energy. Such energy would enable you to see and maneuver within the hole, yet would not disrupt it enough to cause it to self-destruct. In addition to, our studies have shown you to possess the heart of a true warrior. So basically, the reason why he chose the Dazzler, like I said, he didn't go in there because he could survive it. But the problem with it is he could, if he does go in it, it is going to disrupt the energy and then explode, and it's going to cause a whole big problem, right? So he'd rather choose somebody like her because one, she can see through it since she can generate light, but also the fact that her energy, what she produces, will not interfere with the black hole itself. So yes, Galactus can handle it. Obviously, his heralds can handle it. So Galactus is so powerful that even with a fraction of his power given to his heralds, they can handle and withstand a black hole itself, which is pretty impressive if you ask me, you know. And he even gives it to somebody like Dazzler, and she can now also handle it. And as he's giving her the energy and power, she states some pretty impressive stuff right here. She says right here, the answer to the Dazzler unspoken question comes to almost immediately as the chamber suddenly flooded with sound such as no mortal has ever heard. The sound of an exploding galaxy, a cosmic energy storm, the awesome din of creation itself. Exposure to such sonic bombardment would shatter any other being into fear-floating atoms, shattering the atoms into subatomic particles, shattering even those. Alison Blair is not shattered rapidly, effortlessly. She's absorbing the pulsing sound energy around her and begins to glow bright. So, also within his ship, he's able to create, because she uses sound and absorbs the sound and then produces light and energy from it. But he was able to produce such powerful sounds, the sounds of a galaxy being destroyed, you know, cosmic energy storms, and even the Big Bang itself. So that's how powerful this thing can generate, and that's how much energy she was able to absorb and needed to absorb to withstand the black hole. And it stated that the sound was so powerful that it would shatter any other beings, like, you know, into molecules, and then even smaller and smaller and smaller to like subatomic particles, and then obliterate even that. And then after she gets the sound energy, she absorbs it, she's out to go into the black hole. And it says right here, you only now that you possess the power cosmic scale are you worthy of the notice of Galactus. Behold, I can coat your body with an invisible layer of cosmic energy. It will protect you from the bone-crushing force of the black hole and supply you with oxygen as you travel. Go now. So not only did this power cosmic create a force field around her to protect her from the gravitational pressure of a black hole crushing her body, but it also gave her like basically an oxygen bubble, so she can breathe without, you know, living in a place with oxygen there, and she can handle the gravitational pressure of you know, a black hole as a whole. And she went in there and she basically didn't take any damage on at all. And as the story progressed, she got into the black hole. She starts fighting him off, which is pretty impressive that they're both able to fight while in a black hole, you know, trying to hold back the gravitational pressure while fighting. It's still pretty impressive. And we also see a little bit of a scene where she fires an attack at him, and it's stated it has enough power to level an entire city. So that's not that impressive, the power to destroy a city, but it is pretty impressive the fact that even within a black hole while they're fighting, she's able to generate that much amount of power just from a bit of the power cosmic given to her. So after this, we have this whole story event with, you know, Galactus ending up on this robot planet, and he was trying to consume it, but the inhabitants of that planet were like, no, we have a better plan for you to consume. He went there, and as he went there, he was kind of getting hurt a little bit. Apparently it was because there was like acid rain falling down, and it was kind of hurting him. So even though he's very powerful, for some reason acid rain is able to, you know, hurt him and stuff. But as the story progressed, he was trying to absorb the planet, but every time he tried to absorb the planet, it was hurting him. This was called like a dark planet or an evil planet, whatever, but it was basically a corrupted planet where every time he would try to absorb it, it would end up hurting him. And as this was hurting him, he was losing it, and he started firing off antimatter beams. So yes, it is kind of a, you know, anti-feat that he was getting hurt by acid rain and also absorbing there's some planets he can absorb, but it was also pretty impressive the fact that he has, you know, antimatter beams, because we know that, you know, antimatter with positive matter erases it and turns it into pure energy. So it's very powerful to do that. And as the story went on, he was basically fighting against some dark forces on the planet itself, and he was like, you know, screw it, I'm gonna try to absorb the star itself. So he does have the ability to absorb stars. He was going to absorb the black sun, but by doing so, it damaged him heavily. So yeah, he can be hurt. He can be corrupted. Like if he tries to absorb planets that are corrupted or poisoned or whatever, it can end up hurting him and killing him, and he does get severely damaged by it. He tried to absorb the planet it was hurting him, and then he went to absorb the whole sun. Now, even though he couldn't do it and it hurt him, it does showcase the fact that Galactus does have the ability to not only absorb planets, but entire stars, which is pretty impressive if you ask me. Then we had a little story event where, Silver Surfer is just flying in outer space. He sees a red giant and just flies right through it. He doesn't worry about anything because obviously he has power cosmic. And then later on he states that he can go faster than the speed of light. That's nothing to him. He actually ends up in Mephisto's dimension to fight against Mephisto because he was starting shit. I don't know what it was, but he was just like fighting him. And it says right here, the sun, suddenly a mighty roar wipes, cutting the sound of fiendish gloating. The molten rock is risen once again. No, it can't be. You who once did call the Silver Surfer a fool, did you think your mere crackling demons could overcome the power cosmic? So even Mephisto's demons couldn't really harm him because the power cosmic does give a significant power boost. Now this is pretty impressive because demons should have a high level of power, so the fact that he's able to handle them is pretty cool. Later on, after this, he actually even ends up fighting Mephisto, and it looks pretty equally fair. It says right here, his spells and sorcery are greater than my strength, but in my attacks is potent enough to draw enough, swift enough. He will not have the time for enchantment. It is my only hope, my only chance. I must fight like none have ever fought before. So he was able to fight Mephisto a bit to a standstill, which is impressive, really impressive that. Because of he can do that, like Silver Surfer can fight, Mephisto to a standstill in his own dimension. Then can you imagine what Galactus can do to, Mephisto himself? It's pretty impressive. But he does state that Mephisto is more powerful than him and stuff. So he has to basically speed blitz him and take him out before he can, use his really powerful abilities and use his enchantments. And there's also more validity to how powerful, Silver Surfer is and how much of a danger he was giving him. It says right here, back stagnant hellspawn, back to the darkness that some of the mirror from whence you came. No, none can defeat me, none. It matters not how I win, so as long as victory is mine. So, as he was fighting Silver Surfer was giving him such, he was giving him such a challenge that he couldn't handle him. Even while he was firing energy blast right point blank in his face, it didn't faze him. So, it was too much of a challenge for him, so he kind of went in a little bit of a cowardly route and attacked his love interest. So he attacked her to get Silver Surfer off of him. This did end up stopping and ending the fight itself, but this showcases that of Silver Surfer, and acts pretty quickly against, somebody like Mephisto. He can overpower him and beat him, but like I said, he has to do it quickly. He has to kind of speed blitz him. And Mephisto was so in such a dangerous position that he had to use a cowardly tactic as attacking somebody he loved just so he can have him stop. After this, we see a new Herald of Galactus. She's flying. It says right here, space itself seems almost scream of her fire blaze within the intensity of an exploding star, but at last the possible moment before awesome impact can occur. Nova. Nova, she can handle the power of an exploding star. So we've seen that they can handle black holes, they can handle supernovas, which is pretty impressive. Because most characters are not on that level of power of handling a black hole or supernova. And these guys were just given, like I said, a fraction of Galactus' power. Just showcasing Galactus is even more powerful. After this, we had an entire story event, which was the Secret Wars #1, where the Beyonder came in. So this entire story event, it doesn't have much to do with Galactus himself. He does have a little bit of moments here and there in this story, but it's mainly focusing on, Dr. Doom, what's his name? Obviously Beyonder, and a little bit of Molecule Man. So it has to do with other characters, but he does have some part and role into the story itself. Now, sorry if some parts are going to be a little confusing here. Like I said, I'm trying to go in a linear path with the story and the explanations that I'm giving out, but when I take screenshots, some of the arrangements of these images are out of order. So some of the feats that I'm going to be showing you is not going to be fully synced. So I'll try my best, but I can't make any promises. So first we see right here, we have the introduction of eternity, and Reed Richards states, Dr. Strange told me of him, a single being who is the total sum of all things, of all of life, all things in the universe, incredible. It is if I summoned you, Father, your power and knowledge are needed here this day. Such things are known to me, Galactus. Immortal life hangs in the balance because your truth is doubted. So yeah, right there, I've had a lot of people talking about eternity being, a multiversal level being, but right here, Reed Richards specifically states that he's a universal, he's a representation of the universe itself. So I had a lot of people disagreeing with me, saying, no. Eternity is a representation of the multiverse, so if you can beat him or overcome him, then you are on multiversal level scaling of power. But my argument was he's actually a representation of the universe. Now, later on, I will explain because I'm going to have multiple parts of this, I will explain that there is another version of eternity that is the conception of the multiverse itself, but a lot of the times when we see eternity, it is the conception of the universe itself. And also Galactus referred to him as father, so he's above him in ranking. So remember, he's a representation of the universe itself, and he's also above Galactus. So this is not the eternity that is multiversal. He is the universal one. So if he's a representation of the universe and Galactus is below him, that would mean Galactus is below universal once again. Later on, we have the introduction of the Beyonder and the Secret War story event. This one I'm going to be talking about more about other characters and just the event as a whole, because Galactus didn't do everything in this. He didn't have such a big role, but he did have some parts, and it just showcases the difference of power between these cosmic level beings. Because the Beyonder was so powerful that he was able to erase an entire galaxy instantly, and then form an entire planet from all the destroyed planets from the galaxy itself. So why is this impressive? This is impressive, obviously, but why does this? What does this have to do with Galactus himself? The reason why I'm mentioning this with Galactus is because Beyonder is way beyond Galactus, and this feat is not even Beyonder's power and max, but it's just a showcasing of how ridiculously powerful he is. And even though Reed Richards and all these other characters have dealt with Galactus before, they're more impressed by his power, the power to erase easily a galaxy and then form an entire planet from all the destroyed and shattered planets from that said galaxy. Showcases he has easily above power of Galactus. Later on, we have all the villains and all the heroes there. We have Ultron kind of going off and trying to attack Galactus. And Galactus is like, dude, what are you doing? He blasts him a little, taking him out. So I don't know if this version of Ultron has a body made out of adamantium. But if he does, that showcases that Galactus can easily overpower the properties of adamantium, which absorbs energy with a single blast. And he even states that he had more power than a hydrogen bomb, which is to be expected. As this happens, as the story starts to unravel more, and the Beyonder explains what he wants from the heroes and the villains having this whole big contest and fight, Galactus is basically responds saying, "You Beyonder, hear me, Galactus. I sense that you are truly a being from beyond the universe. This multiverse, I sense the energies you wield, and I know. You can take from Galactus, devourer of worlds, the hunger. You can end his ceaseless monetary craving from the very essence of living worlds. Let it be done." So basically, Galactus, he doesn't like eating planets, and he's sick and tired of it. He wants to find a way to rid himself of having to devour planets. So he sees the Beyonder as kind of an opportunity to do that, because Beyonder in this whole competition says whoever wins gets to have one wish. And instead of doing the whole thing, Galactus went after him, told him, "Hey, look, I know you're a being outside this universe and this multiverse, so you're beyond the multiversal scope. I know you can help me out." So this just showcases the levels above Beyonder is compared to Galactus. Galactus is not even close. And as he's doing this, he's trying to reach him, but while he's trying to reach him, there's a barrier, and he gets hit by the barrier and gets basically sent back flying and gets knocked out a bit. So the Beyonder is so much above him that Galactus, even with all of his power, cannot even reach his domain. Not even just compare to him, but not even get close to him without getting knocked back. So that just showcases his power. So most of this Beyonder story event with him in Secret Wars, there isn't much that Galactus does besides that. The rest are mostly Molecule Man and the rest of the heroes doing stuff. So I won't talk about that. Also, I am kind of saving up some of these feats from Molecule Man for a video of his specifically at some point in the future. So when I'm done having these videos and uploading it, I'm going to be doing a video on how strong is Molecule Man and on the Beyonder himself, because they both mostly have a lot of stories connected to each other. So I'm going to be talking about how strong is Molecule Man and Beyonder in the future. But for right now, I just want to focus on Galactus. There's quite a bit of events that transpire as this is happening. I will be talking about how powerful is Doctor Doom, because he does have direct correlation with his power and Galactus. It says right here later on, it says, he's devouring his own living world, perhaps the greatest energy source in the universe. Moments after he's finished, this godforsaken planet will be next. He will be able to stop him this time. He will probably consume Sun too. He'll want every iota of energy available and cease to battle with the Beyonder. We're dead men. So basically what happened as the story was going on, Galactus was like, you know what, screw it. If he's not going to, help me out, I'm going to basically go after him and force him. So what he did is he was desperate and he ended up absorbing his own home planet or ship thingy that he's on. And as he absorbed it, they were stating that this is getting dangerous because now he can be able to absorb suns too and all this other stuff to try to challenge Beyonder. This doesn't mean that he could challenge Beyonder and beat him, but it does showcase that, if Galactus wanted to handle or deal with somebody like Beyonder, there are some means to it. And one of the means is absorbing his own ship, which you guys know. It was explained in the death battle between Galactus and Unicron that Galactus' ship is the size of a solar system. It's not small. It's not the size of even of a planet, a solar system. So he's absorbing a machine that is literally a solar system level scale. So basically think of it as him absorbing the entire solar system. So he absorbed the entire solar system. They said he could also absorb stars. And with him absorbing the solar system sized ship and stars, he would probably have enough power. I wouldn't say to beat Beyonder, but at least fight against him. So in a hyper-powered state, he could do something. But as he did this, he was actually kind of tricked by Doctor Doom. Doctor Doom used one of his machines to, while Galactus absorbed his power, he was able to use a machine that stole the power from Galactus. So as Galactus was getting that power, he thought he was getting stronger, but he was getting that power siphoned off from him to Doctor Doom. Now, this is very important because, one, it showcases that even though with Galactus' ability to absorb energy, his energy can also be siphoned on top of it. But also we see later on from demonstrations from Doom and what he's capable of, that absorbing the total sum of Galactus' power with obviously the addition of his starship, which is the size of a solar system, he was able to obtain insane powers. He says right here, by the dark gods, my least whims alters the world around me. Such is the power coursing within me, that stone and steel are warps of nothing bend and transform into slavish obedience to my merest stray thought. I must control this, separate the gossamer material world from my all-powerful thoughts. Before reality and my imagination become as one, helplessly intermingled. What now? My senses have expanded. Of course, omniscience is one of the necessity of collaterally of omnipotence, a side effect. I feel every cell, every atom, their textures, their quivering movements, the dance of infinity. So this is the power of Galactus. Obviously, this is a more amplified Galactus too, because he absorbed not just Galactus' power, he was waiting for him to absorb his starship, which gave him an insignificant amount of power. He waited for him to absorb that, and then he ended up absorbing his power. But even with that being said, an amped Galactus' power is so powerful that because at this point Doom is basically just what Galactus would have been if he didn't steal it. So with Galactus' power, he is so powerful that he can warp reality and change the shape of stuff and turn it into himself, to the point where he has to focus and concentrate and tell himself, hey, look, I have to be careful because right now I'm able to warp reality into what I want it to be, and I need to separate the reality from my own imagination because I don't want to warp everything. So Galactus's power is so insane that if not controlled, he can warp reality and into pretty much whatever he wants. And then also he would get omniscience, where it basically means all-knowing. And he says the power of omnipotence basically mean all-powerful. Now I would take this with a grain of salt because Galactus himself stated that he has limits, and we saw with Beyonder, he clearly doesn't. He isn't unbeatable. He is very powerful. He's very impressive, but he's not this like, oh, I can do whatever type of being. He does have limitations, but even with that, he can warp reality to a pretty significantly higher level. He has a high enough cosmic awareness and power that to the point where he can, feel and see the textures of every atom and every cell and the movements of it in the infinity. So basically, his perception is so well that he can see atoms, he can see cells, but not only can he see it, he can see the textures and even feel it. So he has some hyper senses and hyper feelings of awareness. After this, we have more showcasing of Galactus' power from Dr. Doom, saying, "No more physical barriers can restrain my senses. I see it's far beyond seeing it. I encompass all that exists around me. I possess more senses than before in empathy. Those imprisoned in the dungeons, I know their every thought, every secret, every smoldering, gawning desire. How they seethe with hunger and wants. Each of their desires is more tangible to me than mortar and stone. Victor Von Doom, who have minds and hearts of lesser men, whoever opens a book now plumbs to the black depths of men's soul with glance." So basically, with his power, his senses were getting stronger and stronger, so much to the point that not only could he see molecules and cells and feel their textures and stuff like that, he could also read their other people's minds, know what they wanted, basically know their entire life story and everything about them within just a mere glance. So a bit of a glance, he could know all this. So this showcases how powerful he was. Also, he was using Galactus's power to fight against the Beyonder because he wanted to challenge the Beyonder and take his power. Even though he felt he was very powerful, he wanted to take his. So what happened with the fight between Doom and Beyonder is basically what would have happened if Galactus didn't have his power siphoned off, if he did absorb the his ship fully and all these other stars and fought him, what he would be able to accomplish. So he says right here, so the Beyonder's portal remains open, the battery to view this planet. Clearly he realizes that these are crucial moments, just how crucial for Doom to decide. When the Beyonders brought us all here, he told us, slay your enemies and all your desires shall be yours. Now I have the power to slay every being on this planet with but a wave of my hand. All the heroic minions and Captain America are like dust to me. Should I slay them and then demand some prize from the Beyonder? What should I ask for? What could the Beyonder give me that is not already within my power? Are these the dust motes heroes truly my enemies, or are there now but not one foe in all of existence worthy of Doom, the Beyonder himself? So basically what he states is, by absorbing Galactus's power, he is so powerful that even though the Beyonder brought all these other heroes, all these other villains, he could wipe them out casually. So he could easily wipe them all out to the point where they're no longer a threat. He doesn't even view them as enemies. He views them as just like specks of dust. He doesn't care about them. The only threat is the Beyonder. So Galactus is very powerful. Like I said, I know I've been harping quite a bit on the fact that this is a Galactus that got a power amp, but still it's really impressive with how powerful he could get from just absorbing a ship, that all these characters are nowhere near close to him, and the only person that can give him a challenge is the Beyonder himself. So as this happens, we see him basically he's getting stronger, his body's morphing, his tech is changing. He says right here, he changes basically his suit into what Galactus uses to absorb planet's energy. So he gets that powerful. Then he tries to breach the Beyonder's dimension. Like I said, this is an amplified version of Galactus's power because normal Galactus he got easily rebounded back. But with this amplification, he was not only was Doom able to breach into the dimension, but actually fight him. So it says right here, shrieking winds of protest, the agonies of planets battered and distorted by forces beyond comprehension, while the sun in orbit seems on the verge of being blown out like a candle. So as he was going into the dimension, just bridging into the dimension itself, the entire planets were getting obliterated, and the sun that was close by was going to get blown out like a candle easily. So he did breach into it, and then he got into a fight with him, but it was a little bit too much for him to handle. It says right here, is there no end to his strength? He doubles and he rebounds. His onslaught with each passing second. I must draw near still, and yet all my power is not enough. May thrust has been blunted. My energy ebbs. My defenses crumble. It is hopeless. I cannot reach him any more than the anvil can rise. Anvil can rise to strike the hammer. Away there must be. Thus falls Doom. So basically, even with Doom absorbing Galactus' power and an amplified Galactus, he was able to breach the dimensional barrier, but he wasn't able to go fully through the dimensional barrier due to the fact that he had too much power. He said every time he would go, his power would double, and whatever power he was sending at him would rebound against him, and even Doom felt like he was done for. So he was trying his best to get in there. But there's actually a bit of a twist. It does seem like he lost, and that's what I assumed when I first read it, but apparently Doom didn't lose, he actually won. He states right here, the Beyonder is dead, and the power of which once was his is now mine. I, Victor Von Doom, am the mighty being in this universe, or any universe. I could destroy you all with but a thought. So, yeah, it's a little confusing. If you read the story yourself, the Secret War story, it's going to throw you off for a loop. It did definitely me. So what happened, he took Galactus' power. He went to fight Beyonder. He tried to breach his dimension. He stated it was too powerful. He couldn't handle it. He got beaten down. But then he had enough, willpower to just keep on fighting through it, and somehow ended up not only killing the Beyonder, but actually absorbing the Beyonder's powers. So yes, even though he was struggling, he did end up technically beating him. So the argument I want to think that I'm thinking about right here is, what if he didn't absorb Galactus' power? Would Galactus be able to do it? Because obviously Doom doesn't have that much power. All the power he got was from Galactus and the additional power. So the argument here is, if he didn't do that, do you think Galactus would have been able to beat him and take the power with just the power boost from his ship? If that's the case, then Galactus with just the ship's power gave him such a significant power to even try to fight back Beyonder and even beat him and absorb his power. So it really depends on if you guys truly believe it's just because of Doom's strength of will, or was it because what's his name, or was it because of just Galactus' power? So that's going to be it for the Secret War story event. There was a lot more happening in there, but I want to save it up for, my video on how strong is Molecule Man and how strong is the Beyonder, because they both have a lot of stories crossing over with each other, and I want to leave it for that. But for right now, I just want to focus specifically on Galactus. Now, as we're seeing as the story transpires after this, Silver Surfer is on a journey going through outer space. I think he ends up on one of the Kree's home planet and stuff. And there's some new shocking revelation about Galactus. It says right here, but look carefully at the pit of the shape of the reality in our universe. Everything here comes in a sum of two opposite forces, death and eternity. Everything except Galactus, who from the previous and utterly unknown universe, and who has been provided to have a purpose in this universe as well. Yes, his relentless appetites are as horrible as they must seem to those he has consumed. He has a meaning, and it is Galactus does transcend our reality. He transcends death and eternity. For without the alien and under predictable forces, Galactus represents death, and eternity would settle in a perfect stasis as perfect opposites. Yes, that explains so many things. As a herald, I consistently saw that he is neither good nor evil, Galactus, but only Galactus. Surely you see that no one born from this reality can destroy him. what would you want to, according to the destruction of Galactus, would bring the destruction of reality? Sorry if it was a little weird. The texts are kind of small, and the writing, since it's older, it's kind of weird. So yeah, basically what they're stating is that in the universe, there's always there's two opposite forces for these cosmic beings, like death and life and stuff like that. But for Galactus, death and life don't really affect him, don't work on him. The laws of this reality don't work on him, and no being can really kill him. And also, they stated that the death of destruction of Galactus would bring the destruction of reality, which I'll explain a little bit more in this video. And I did also kind of explain it in my death battle of Galactus versus Unicron. I did mention that a little bit, but I'll go more in depth in this, and I'll talk about why that's the case. Now, some of you guys might be thinking, well, damn, that makes Galactus really powerful. He's beyond these concepts of death and life and, you know, all these other things in eternity, right? And he's also beyond all these other beings. I can see why you guys think that, but when I explain it and show you more of the information and context behind it, you will understand why that isn't as impressive as you may think. So as we go on, later on, some galactic alien beings are trying to take down Galactus because they're just sick and tired of him. And it says right here, there in the flesh of well of the spirit, the Silver Surfer stole the sixth soul gem, but you say he doesn't understand the significance computing. He doesn't know that the gem aided to the five will have created enough energy powerful enough to destroy Galactus. So as this event is happening, these other cosmic beings are like alien beings are trying to gather the Infinity Stones to destroy Galactus because he's such a threat, and they're just sick and tired of him that they want to take him out. Basically, what was happening is the Kree were gonna kill Galactus, and by killing him, it was going to end all reality, which I'll, like I said, go more in depth in that. But they want to end all reality so they can do some weird fuckery with, you know, changing the cosmic structure. So as they were trying to kill him, they're trying to get the Infinity Stones. They stated that they needed pretty much like only 5 of them to obliterate him. I think there's like, isn't there like 6? Yeah, there's like 6. So you don't need all the Infinity Stones to obliterate him, but you do need a majority of them to take him out. So that's how powerful he is. So yeah, also as the story was going on, he was trying to get the 6th gem away from them. This was also leading up into the Thanos story event where he gets the Infinity Gauntlet, the Infinity War story event. Which has a lot of impressive things and a lot of important things happening in there. But even with 5 or 6 gems used against Galactus, it can kill him. But still, Galactus is very powerful. And as this is happening, what's his name? Silver Surfer knows that this is a bad thing because if they kill Galactus, then that means the end of the universe. So he wants to prevent this, so he basically sends all these beings. He destroys a black hole and sends all these beings into there, ending up killing them. So yeah, they die. So before I go to the next feats that I'm going to talk about, I just want to explain that. What does that mean? Basically, what was explained in that story event was the fact that Galactus, he's a very integral part of the cosmology. What happened was, I'll just go give you a little brief explanation. So in the Marvel cosmology, what happens is each universe, there's been multiple Big Bangs and there have been multiple deaths of the universe, and which each iteration there has been a new supposed like Galactus type figure. In the last one, in his universe where he was living on top, there was another Galactus figure there. But when the universe got destroyed because of Galactus finding the end of the beginning of the universe and all this information, it ended up destroying it, right? As it got destroyed, the laws and rules of that said universe that he came from no longer exist in this new universe. Every time there's a new universe created, there are new sets of laws and rules and new same cosmic beings, but there's different structures of them, right? And since the universe that he was from, it had different cosmic beings in there, so those he had to abide to the rules of those. But once when he came into this reality, he no longer was whatever cosmic beings that were in that reality were wiped out. And in this new reality, he is not confined to any of the laws of that reality because the only realities that affect him are from the previous one. But since they're destroyed, it can't really affect him. So as he's in this reality, these concepts don't work on him, not because he's beyond all these concepts. It's just the way that he was created and formed basically protects him from it. But also, the reason why a lot of people don't attack Galactus or try to kill him is not because he's so unbeatable. He is very powerful. It's just mainly due to the fact that he's directly linked with the universe. Since the last death of he caused the last death of the universe and became Galactus. When he dies in this universe, it basically ends up destroying this universe because he was made specifically for the cycle of life and death, bringing destruction, and then later on when he destroys a lot of life, he's gonna end up bringing back even more life than he destroyed. So he's an integral part of a cosmic structure, and without him, it basically ends up destroying the universe. So if you see the universe getting destroyed, it's not because Galactus is on a universal scale. Not saying he isn't, but that doesn't mean he is on a universal level scale. It just means that killing him will destroy the universe. So he's directly linked with that. Later on, we see a story event with Mephisto trying to mess with Galactus and Silver Surfer and the other heralds. And as he's doing it, it says right here, within the smoldering gloom of his stagnant inferno, the most evil entity of all laughs in his mirthless laugh and mutters in a voice like crackling glass. The stage is set, the trap is sprung, let the deadly drama now unfold. Though I possess power enough to shatter a galaxy, how much more satisfying is it to triumph by guile, by stealth, by the merciless applications of naked cunning. So this is important because we have a pretty big fight between Galactus and Mephisto now. And Mephisto literally states that he has enough power to shatter a galaxy. We don't know exactly how powerful Mephisto is. He is very powerful. People say he's multiversal levels of power and stuff like that, but if he was that powerful, why would he mention a galaxy? It's still impressive to shatter a galaxy, but that wouldn't put him on multiversal levels of power or even, universal levels of power. Not saying he can't, but from what was stated there. So later on, he actually engages in a battle with Galactus, and they do some pretty crazy stuff. It says right here, how to explain a battle such as this, one who has near beheld a cosmic conflagration, how to explain a battle where amphibious forces clash while the galaxies themselves bite, fair to tremble and quake in agonizing disarray. These are no words for those such beasts convey savagery. So their battle was so powerful that the energy that it was shooting out was very hard to explain. The galaxies themselves were basically shaking by this, and it was obliterating planets. So their fight between Mephisto and Galactus, just from the beginning of it, was destroying whole planets and shaking galaxies to its cores. It says right here, the thousands of fragments of conflagrations spreads as planet after planet is shaken and storm tossed by the shockwaves after shockwaves. So yeah, the shockwaves from their attacks was blowing apart planets, and then we see them like in a cosmic battle where they're basically kind of amalgamated with the universe itself. And it says right here, helpless of all the eruption of nearby planets, oblivious to the erosion of distant collision of the two unrelenting combatants, unleash power enough to shatter the very stars themselves. I am Mephisto, only one who has the power to defy me, and the next to him. You are less than a smoldering cinder in the furnace of demand. I am Galactus, I am the power absolute, I answer to no one, to none. I am the was and the is, and the yet to be. I will have my herald. So he was fighting to get Silver Surfer back because he took him as he tricked him. And as Galactus was fighting him, they had this whole raging battle. But this battle was destroying stars, planets, and shaking galaxies. It isn't on a universal scale, this fight, but it is still pretty powerful. We know Mephisto can shatter a galaxy. We've seen this fight shatter planets. Stated it can destroy stars and even shake and destroy other galaxies. So it's a multi-galaxy level fight, but I want to put it on universal level. And it says right here, I can bear no more, and the battle should rage any longer. The universe entire would be at risk. Summoning all my remaining cosmic energy, I send a silent throughout to my own once and former master. I thought this both plea and plan to end the conflagration. So basically, this is Silver Surfer talking. He's basically stating that at first it was just destroying planets, stars, shaking the galaxies, but at some point the entire universe would be at risk. So it is kind of a universal level of skill, fight, but it isn't instantly, universal. It just leads up to it. So if they were left to fight longer, it would have put the universe in jeopardy, which is still pretty impressive. After this, Mephisto's like, you know what, screw it. I don't care enough about this. I'm not going to fight you, and he lets them leave. So clearly, Galactus, even though, we don't know if he's stronger than Mephisto, he is still strong enough to give him such a serious, beating where he's just like, you know what, I don't want to even do this anymore. As this happens afterwards, we get introduction to a new character by the name of, I'm pretty sure his name is the In-Betweener. Basically, he is quite interesting of you when we get into, so I'm just going to get into it. I'm everything for I am nothing. I am a concept of concepts. Life and death, good and evil, reality and illusion, and these things do I know and affect, but never do they touch me. You said you used the effects of the gods of this realm, order and chaos, Unread and Sue, obviously. I'm the product of extremes. Lord Chaos and Master Order created me to further their external conflict. My universe of dualities affects humans severely. She surrendered to the call of my chaos. He has to summons of order. Their tortured souls were drawn together in the vampiric soul gem, and when the ship fell into the hole between the realms. So, who's the in-betweener? He's basically, as explained right here, he's a duality of concepts. So he says right here, everything and nothing. The duality of both nothing, everything and nothing. So basically, he is what's that term? I forgot, but he's like the term where he's neither anything or the other, because he was created by the Masters of Order and Chaos, two opposite opposing forces created him, so he's a being that's in between all imposing or concepts and forces. And as he comes to, he lives in his own universe with order and chaos. When he comes into that reality, he can actually incapacitate regular mortals by just, being around them, unless the being has cosmic energy of their own or a cosmic power. He also showcases a little bit of his power. He says right here, I come to know the forces within antimatter, this particular form of life, and then I summon its polar opposite. So he also can create the opposites of things. So he was getting attacked by antimatter, he attacked back with positive matter. So wherever dimension he's in, he can take down the mortals by basically just existing and being around them. He's also a concept of dualities, and he, on top of that, what's the thing called? He can create the opposite of whatever he's being attacked by. So if he's getting attacked by fire, he can use water. If he's getting attacked by antimatter, he can use positive matter. So he can do that. Then later on, we see Galactus. He's basically, something happened and made him slumber, and this was leading up to a fight between the In-Betweener and Galactus. It says right here, what do you mean it cannot be done? We had it all, and I would honor it, Elder, but I mean what I say. Galactus is unique in this universe, or in any other universe. There's no force to counterbalance his, but he cannot remain alive in this realm while I inhabit it, so I will hurl him back in through the black hole. So basically what happened was, like I said, these aliens were sick and tired of Galactus, so they all came together, worked together to take him down. And as they came together to fight against him, they recruited the In-Betweener to handle him, because he's a conceptual being and he's a being of dualities. So as they had him in this incapacitated state, he was trying to obliterate him, but it didn't work. He said, I can't work on him because he's not of this universe. So even though he has the ability to do any opposite force of duality and erase things, he cannot do it against Galactus, not because Galactus is so powerful, but because of how he was, his cosmic placing, because he came from a dead universe. And the way the cosmic rules work in Marvel is, which each new universe, the concepts and rules change. So whatever concept and rule happened in that universe will not affect the new one. So if there's a being from that one that comes into the new reset universe that went through another Big Bang, will not feel the same effects. So whatever effects happen in his universe only are the only things that can affect Galactus. Whatever effects or concepts that happen in the new universe have no effect on him. So he cannot kill him because he has the ability of concepts and duality, but those concepts do not matter or work on Galactus simply due to the fact that Galactus is, from another the sixth universe instead of the seventh. Basically, every time they go into a new cycle, he's from the previous cycle. The new cycle has no effect on him. That's the reason. It's a little complex. Then the in-betweener basically brings in Death to kill the other guys that are trying to, because they kind of get annoyed with him, so he brings in Death. He says right here, "You are behind the times in-betweener. Death has made a vow never to take us. She has no choice when I summon her. Am I not the balance point between all existence? I'm not death myself as well as life, and you are not dead." So what happened was these alien beings, they made a contract and an obligation with Death herself, stating that she cannot kill them, so they cannot die. But since the in-betweener is a being that is, in between all of the balance of realities in existence and in between all the extremities of reality, even though she made an agreement with them that she can't kill them, this guy can use his power to basically not only summon her, but have her back to his demand. Whatever he demands her to do, she has to do it. And even though she couldn't kill these guys, now she can because of him. That just showcases his level of power, even though she doesn't like it. It says right here, "You seem to turn your back on me in contempt, as if any action of you may take should be of my concern to one such as I. Where I was born, reality is the play of order and chaos, not death and life as here. As I'm as alien to you as you are to me. Now be gone." The in-betweener may not realize that death will never falter such a heinous transaction. Death is already forgotten by the in-betweener as he proceeds to eliminate one being who could give him trouble in this realm. So basically what happens, and what he explained here, he's explaining more of his power, what's happening. How is he able to summon Death? Why can't Death affect him? It's like I said, depending on where the universe these guys are at or are from, these other concepts do not work on them. So even concepts like life, death, whatever, order and chaos only affects those who come from those universes. So the beyond in-betweener can only be affected by order and chaos because that's the realm he comes from. Whereas the realm that he came into, the Marvel universe, is ruled by life and death, which have no work on him. So only the order and chaos can harm him. Whereas a being from life, from the Marvel universe, let's say they go to the chaos and order's world, right? What if they go there? That means that chaos and order cannot harm them. Only people that can harm them is death and life and or eternity, and whoever is strong enough to kill them. So this is very important because some people say, well, he's beyond death, the concepts of death and life. But it's no. He's from a dimension where those are not the main rules. The main rules there are order and chaos. So when he goes to that realm, it doesn't work on him. When he goes to his own realm, the rules that confine his realm work on him. Same thing if somebody came from the Marvel universe to his universe, they wouldn't be affected by order and chaos, even though those are the cosmic balances there. And this also explains why Galactus cannot be beaten, because these concepts, they abide by whichever universe they're from, right? And beyond in-betweener, though life and death doesn't work on him, the concepts from his realm work. But where Galactus is from, his reality, it had different cosmic beings and cosmic structure. But since that reality is obliterated now, none of those cosmic structures or beings exist, and he can't go back to that realm, right? Or that his previous universe. So that means he's going to be a foreign outsider alien that lives in any universe. No matter what universe he goes to, all those universes are going to be foreign concepts, so no concept works on him or affects him. So the in-betweener's power doesn't work, or death, or anybody. That doesn't mean he's beyond them or more powerful than them. It's just that the rules state that he cannot be affected because he's outside of his own universe, and he can't return because the beings that could do that to him in his universe are basically gone. I know it's confusing, it's a little weird, it's a little jarring, it's a lot of back and forth, but that's basically what they've shown, and that's what I got from it, and it's a little complex. But then we show later on Silver Surfer going into In-Betweener's world, and it says right here, I am the Silver Surfer and my friends from realm of death and eternity. We know death, we know eternity, but they mean nothing to us. What of the In-Betweener? Let me tell you what he has transpired. Meanwhile, far away had something summons the gods. Only if the realm is the only way we will ever get back through that black hole. Now, here's Galactus. So basically, Silver Surfer went into their world. They said, "Yeah, we don't care. In our world, we own this universe. Whatever happens with life and eternity. I mean, death and eternity does not affect us here. We do not care." And that's why the In-Betweener doesn't work. So he was trying to say, you know what? Let me just get, how about, if you guys can't do anything, or if you're not going to do anything and we can't do anything with life and death, then we're going to need Galactus. So they try to rescue Galactus and fix him so you can find him, because he's the only threat to him, because they both can't, in that universe, nothing of those cosmic concepts affect them. So it says right here, later on we get, Franklin Richard showed, and he says right here, did you have a dream, son? Yeah, me and Nova were falling into the black hole thing, so I dreamed we were in the safest place there was, inside Galactus. I was carrying Frank when he dreamed us, it led in the sanctuary. I took care of him after that. So, why is this important? One, we're seeing Franklin Richards' power, like I stated. We're going to go into him because he does have quite a bit of connection to Galactus, obviously due to the fact that his parents, in Sue Storm and in Reed Richards, have fought Galactus multiple times. So what happened was they were getting attacked, and she was trying to protect him, but it was too dangerous. So Franklin, since he's a kid, he doesn't have full utilization of his powers, but he's very powerful. So he used his reality warping powers to basically warp them out of that universe into his safest place, and that was inside Galactus. That's why Galactus is in a catatonic state. It's not because he was attacked, it was because Franklin wanted to get away from the attack that was happening onto him, so he teleported into Galactus himself to save him and her, since she was protecting him, and that put him in a catatonic state, meaning that even as a kid, Franklin Richards could put somebody like Galactus in a catatonic state by just transporting into him. Then we get the big fight between the In-Betweener and Galactus. So Galactus says here, your masters want you back, In-Betweener, but you have dared too much against me. They must accept my decision to destroy you. You have decided to try, but can you destroy everything and nothing? The balance point between all dualities with all their powers and at his fingertips. So basically saying, can you beat somebody who's in between all realities of everything and nothing? I have all that power in my fingertips. Can you beat that? Normally he could beat like a lot of beings, but the reason why it doesn't work on Galactus, like I said, is he has that protection due to him not being from any of the worlds, so that doesn't really matter. No concepts of dualities or all these other energy things can work on him. So we do see some impressive fighting as they're fighting throughout the cosmos. It says here, yet you admit I have no counterpart, no anti-Galactus that you could summon against me. Your power over extremities is useless against one who is Galactus. Each of his is near omnipotent in his own reality, and we are in mine. So basically what he's saying is, usually beyond whoever he fights, he can bring the opposite of that person. So opposite of fire, he can bring water. Opposite of antimatter, he can bring positive matter. The opposite of the devil, he can bring like God or whatever. I don't want to go that far, but he can bring the opposite of those. But since Galactus, whatever his opposite would be in his own universe that got destroyed, technically he has no opposite. So the only way the In-Betweener can beat his opponents is by bring their opposite sides or their weaknesses to beat them. But since Galactus is from a realm that no longer exists, he has no opposite because of that. And he also states, Galactus states that in our own realms we have near omnipotent power. So if he was fighting Beyonder in his realm, whereas Chaos and Order, the Beyonder would have more of an advantage. But since they're fighting in the realm of, death and eternity, and even though Galactus is not from here, he is basically, it was still the same universe, it just the rules got changed a little bit. So it is technically his own domain. So instead of, if they were in the Chaos and Orders dimension, In-Betweener would have had more of an advantage, but since they were in just the regular reality, Galactus has the home field advantage, and he also has the advantage of not having any opposite force that he can use against him. And it says right here, I survived the destruction of my universe, my first universe. I was born in a realm of gods unknown to anyone but me. I am survival destruction because I am destruction. So he says he survived his universe, but we know later on, and in my video on Cosmic King Thor, the Black Winter basically was the reason why he survived. He turned Galactus into his herald. He was technically his herald, and it helped him survive. And the surviving of the other universe, some people will say, well, this makes him universal, right? But what happened was, when the universe destroyed, it basically recreated him to anew. So it wasn't like really surviving, more so it transformed him. It says right here, you are me, then the union of opposites. No, I am the absence of opposites. I'm something those who live among opposites cannot explain. So that was also the main reason why he cannot beat him, because he believes he lives in the realms of opposites, whereas Galactus, he has no opposite. There's no opposite force of him, because everything in the Marvel Universe, there's life, death, chaos, order, eternity, whatever, they have all that. But he is the only cosmic being that doesn't have a counterpart, because he is the death, and he is destruction, and he is the life bringer. Because he's supposed to destroy first, and then later on he brings in things into life, right? So he's the opposite of opposites, is what he's saying. He brings all the opposites in Betweener, and he's the opposite of all the opposites. So the In-Betweener has literally nothing he can do to stop him or beat him. And as the fight keeps on going on, we see a little bit of a diversion from the story, where we go to Reed Richards and Franklin talking. Franklin says, Dad, what's an ultimate nullifier? And he said, where did you hear about that, Frank? I dreamt it when Nova and me were inside Galactus. So Franklin Richards, when he was inside Galactus, he said he dreamt it. Basically, he was able to read Galactus's mind and learn about the ultimate nullifiers, which he misinterpreted that as him dreaming. And Reed replies to him saying, Frank, the ultimate nullifier can destroy everything in the universe. It is too powerful for any of us to deal with. So Reed explains that the ultimate nullifier can destroy everything in the universe, but he didn't mention anything past that. And I mentioned this when I was in the death battle between Galactus versus Unicron, because they were stating that, what's the thing called? They said that the ultimate nullifier can wipe out an entire multiverse and then bring it back. But already we've heard a couple of times, and once again explained by Reed, that it can destroy a universe, nothing up to a multiversal level scale. And that matters because it's one of the only things that can stop Galactus, right? So if, the ultimate nullifier was a multiversal level, weapon, then that would basically mean that Galactus wouldn't be able to handle a multiversal level threat, but he would be able to handle stuff below that. But since it's universal, that means that the power is actually way less. He cannot handle a universal level threat or universal level destroying attack, right? So he would be below that, it changes his power levels significantly. So as they're fighting, it still rages on. He says, "You are wrong, Galactus. You claim you are unique and you are in the universe, but I am as alien as you are. I am from order and chaos, gods who see things in ways this realm is blind to. You are inexplicable to the beings here, those who dwell among opposites." So basically, he's just saying that, yeah, you say that, but I'm just like you. I'm from another universe where nothing matters, where the rules are different and they don't apply to me in this universe, and we're not fighting in that universe. So what's your point? And then he says right here, "I do not accept that, but if our powers were equal, you should be new to all this as well. But you see where we are now, caught in the pull of a black hole. Soon as we back at the balance point between our two realms, where I'm at my strongest, try to fight me, pulling me back there. So basically, the Inverter opened up a black hole, saying, "Hey, if you want to really talk about how special you are, why don't you find me in my realm where I have the advantage? Because in this realm, I'm in a weakened state and stuff. And I don't have the advantage." So he said, "Okay." They go into there, but as he does this, it was actually a trap. Galactus was tricking him. What happened was he kind of went against his master's orders. The reason why it's hard to say that is because one character's name is Order, so I don't want to get them confused and mixed. But he goes there, and Lord Chaos and Lord Order, basically they punish him because he broke the rules. So the way Galactus beat him was tricking him into opening a portal, saying, "Hey, come to my universe, I can handle you." But as he got there, his masters were like, "Yo, you fucked up, you shouldn't have done what you were doing, we're gonna punish you." So that's how Galactus beat him. Now, could have Galactus beat him in that universe? I think they would have been both fairly equal in power. The only reason I think Galactus sent him through there was, one, it would equally damage them both, but also the fact that they would have done too much damage and destruction, and he didn't want to do all that. So he probably felt like it was pointless, and it would be best to just end it this way in a more peaceful manner. So that was the end of that story. Now we go on to another new story with Silver Surfer, as he's basically, what's the thing called? He's fighting against this one alien force, and there's some interesting stuff. There's this one mothership that is the size of is way bigger than the Earth. You can see it dwarfs the Earth, but even though it dwarfs the Earth, Silver Surfer is able to fire an energy attack and basically destroy the ship. So he has, with his power alone, he can destroy multi-planet sized ship. So I would say this is a multi-planet level feat. He definitely has more power beyond that, but just from that showing alone. It says, Norman, beware, he has the strength to fall a planet. So it's also stated that the guy he's fighting has the power to destroy a planet, but it doesn't matter to him because he can handle him, and he ends up basically beating him. And then later on we have a story where he sent Nova to, I think it was to Earth, and he sent her there to basically to stop the Phoenix Force. She says right here, "Hi, I'm Nova, Galactus' herald. I hate to spoil your homecoming, but my masters conclude that Phoenix's continued existence is to threaten his own survival that he cannot accept. Now we do not want an unpleasantness. It really would be upset for country." So basically what she's saying is, hey, Galactus knows that the Phoenix Force is here. She's kind of a threat to his existence, so to stop it, I'm gonna need to come here and end this whole thing. So that basically showcases that beings like on the level of the Phoenix Force could threaten or even beat Galactus. We don't know if it could definitely beat him or is it just on his level of power, but we know it's still a threat to Galactus himself. And as the story progressed, the Phoenix Force did come there, and she kind of was putting up a big threat to him. He says right here, there we're going out. Behold our folly, destroyer of worlds. That child is the Phoenix, living embodiment of one of the primordial forces. You can no more divide her spirit from flesh than you can life from death. There is a natural order to her being as to yours in all creation. My substance is living planets. The Phoenix can obliterate an entire cosmos. So he basically stating that my purpose is to destroy planets and absorb them. Her purpose is to wipe out the entire cosmos. She's on a cosmic, a universal level scale of a threat. I'm usually on a planet level. He could also be on a universal level scale of threat, but she's specifically made for that. So she's technically a universal level being, the Phoenix Force, and that is considered a high level threat for him. So once again, another universal level threat, or force, or just threat against him, and he concedes against it. So it's either Galactus is comparable to universal level threat, or he's below it. But it says right here, after, as one of the watchers says, "Is that your wish, Galactus, to condemn the cosmos to ultimate extinction and yourself to an eternity of infinite void, whereas existence does not the smallest potential for life. So basically, what Watcher's saying, are you really going to go this far with the Phoenix Force, where she's going to obliterate everything in the cosmos? The only thing that's going to be around is you. So maybe she can't beat him. She can destroy the rest of the cosmos, but he'll be in an empty void. And since he's in an empty void, he won't have any planets to devour, which in turn would technically, kind of end up killing him. So there is that. So now after that, I'm gonna deviate from the main story and talking about Galactus to talk about a specific character named Quasar and his story adventure, because later on there's a part where Galactus fights and has this whole event with Quasar and his story. But the thing with Quasar and his story is like there's a lot of backstory that I need to explain. And also explain about how powerful the cosmology is. Because there's this one cosmic being that he meets that is in the form of a child, and the child says, I created these superheroes. And he said, what do you mean? You created, you mean drawn? And he goes more in depth. He says right here, you mean you created that drawing of him, Mr. Fantastic, a real guy, he was his own comic and everything. I know, I get lots of comics, see? Well then, can I trust you to keep a secret? Oh, of course. I'm not what I seem to be. Neither are you, or at least neither were you. Oh, you lost me. Something tells me this kid spent too much time up here by himself. I'm not really a 10-year-old kid. I'm secretly a really old cosmic entity whose name you couldn't pronounce. I've spent the last of 5,000 years here on Earth fighting a war. You see, there's this other cosmic entity who's my eternal nemesis, and we've been fighting almost since the universe first brought into existence intelligent life. So we're going to get a little bit more explanation, and you're going to probably see towards later on why I went in on this character and start talking about him specifically. But it goes on, he says this, then you made me up, I'm a fragment of your imagination. No, that's silly, you are a real person. That's good to know. When I say create, I do mean like I created something out of nothing. Everyone knows matter can't be created or destroyed. What I did is take people who already existed and turn them into superheroes whose names, costumes, and powers I've invented. I just turned you into Quasar. See, I'm responsible for all the superheroes on Earth. I created and designed them all. Like the Fantastic Four, for instance. I didn't build Mr. Fantastic's spaceship for him or anything, but he was in orbit. I was the one who whipped up the cosmic radiation storm and made sure it gave him his whole crew superpowers. I've even put their super names and costumes into their heads. Same thing with my other superheroes you could name. So this is important because this being a showcasing, he's on a higher scaling and level of cosmic power. Basically, he stated himself that he didn't create the heroes and these people were already there. It's just he gave them the scenarios where they got their powers, their costumes, so everything else around them. And he basically he explained that with like Mr. Fantastic, he didn't create him. He built his own ship and stuff like that. All he did was create the cosmic wind. They gave him his powers and the costumes and stuff like that. So he basically can manipulate reality to a high level where he can manipulate to a level where he can create things, but he can manipulate it to where he can change things and then give them more significance. So I'm guessing with like Galactus, he didn't create Galactus, but he did create the scenario that turned him into Galactus, just showcasing how powerful he is. And we get an explanation of more of his absurd power. He says right here, what about guys like Thor? He's rumored to be from another dimension and to be the actual guy who was worshipped by the Vikings 1,000 years ago. How could you have created him? Well, I was the one who showed the Asgardians how to get to Earth. If not for me, they'd never have shown up and gotten worshipped. Same with all those guys from outer space, like the Silver Surfer. Space is so big that nobody would have ever found Earth if I hadn't been going out and planting its location in everyone's minds, from the Skrulls to Galactus. This kid has his delusions incredibly well thought out. How about the mutants, people born with unusual abilities like Magneto or Cyclops? Oh, those are the easiest guys to create. I can set up their powers while they're still in the womb. Saves me from going to all the bother to set up an origin accident. Later in their lives, I've been doing a lot of mutants lately, ever since I ran out of clever origins. So he basically goes more in depth, stating the Asgardians, he obviously didn't create the gods, but he created the means to get to Earth. He also put in the minds of all these other aliens, Silver Surfer and Galactus. Earth is important, Earth is important. So he's also able to manipulate the mind of Galactus and stuff. And he created mutants by creating their powers while they were being born. So he just has a whole well of power, and it's insane. And it says right here, further, you are one of the people I chose to be a superhero. After all, as far as I'm concerned, you are about the most important one on Earth. I am then what happened. Why don't I remember being this Quasar? And apparently he states right here, because my enemy got to you before I did. Well then, you don't remember now you got here or why you came here, right? That's right. How did you know? Because I sent for you. That is one of the newest creations did think back. So basically, this being can do a lot of stuff, create things and stuff. He can't fully create out of nothing, but he can change things and make scenarios and stories, which is very powerful and very impressive still, right? But he does have still like some limitations. And also, he has an enemy that is the opposite of him, that races beings and that stops the concepts and stuff and can erase memories. So his memory was erased of him. And then later on he says right here, you never got the quantum bands. Eon appointed somebody else to be the protector of the universe, not an Earthman either. And nobody, not you, not anybody, even the newspapers or outcomes, knew that it was never a hero named Quasar. You see, she can alter reality retroactively. She can undo anything I create. That story you told me seems familiar, like I was a dream I had a long time ago. That's great. Most of the people she uncreates can't remember the singlest thing about their former life, like the guy who contacted you. So he also states that she's the opposite of him. She erases whatever he creates, erases their memory. He can re-bring it back. So there's like a little back and forth there. And he goes on to say, who is she? Who is this person who uncreates superheroes? My grandma, or that's who she appears to be. I call her the unbeing because she causes what I make comes into being not to be. She calls me Origin because I make superheroes possible. See all these superheroes on the wall you don't recognize? They used to be as real as Cap or Thor or Spider-Man until she undid them. Why did you create some of the others? Because there's a limit to her abilities. Mine's too. Right now she's trapped in an old lady's body whose range of fluctuation is only about 500 miles. Ever wonder why there are almost no superheroes in the Midwest? It's because she's living here, because she's very good at undoing them up close, but she'll get old and stuff. So basically, this also explains a couple of other interesting things. He states they're both limited because of the bodies they're in. He's in a young body, she's in an older body, so depending on what bodies they're created in, they have limitation. Sorry for the noise in the background. It is the heat. I'm kind of cold here in my house. But he states that, and he also states she has a limit of 500 miles. So that's why there aren't superheroes in the Midwest and they're all in New York, because she resides there, which is kind of a cool and fun little explanation on why there's so many heroes there. It says, okay, assuming I'm into all this, what does this have to do with, what can I do? Well, I can recreate you as Quasar, but you'll know what I did and be mad at as a hornet and come after you. You have to do this, destroy her before she can uncreate you again. Don't think I could do it a third time. Destroy an old lady, just the form she's been taking. She had thousands of them over the years. That's how she exists on Earth, by taking normal human bodies. She is another chamber. So basically, he also says he can redo it forever. He has like 3 chances he can do it. Also, he's trying to get Quasar to kill her. Now you're gonna probably wonder, how is he going to kill a cosmic being of that level? It's simply due to the fact that he is giving him the power, and then also she's in a weakened state, so he's attacking her in a weakened state and stuff. You see, they're not going to get another chance like this for at least 600 years. Her current body's dying, and she can't take a new one till the old one gives up the ghost. And the instant of her death, when she transfers the life force to a new form, as she will be most vulnerable. If you strike her with all your might at the precise instant of death, you could drive her off Earth for good. You can't really die, but at least she will be somebody else's problem, not on Earth. When she's born, she'll be the peak of her power. She'll probably wipe out all of the superheroes on Earth in one big wave. Thor, Cap, Wolverine, everybody. Supervillains too throughout. I suppose you should be behind them. Doom. So basically what he's saying is she's at her dying point. Once she dies, you attack her at that moment. You can obliterate her, or you'll have to wait another 600 years. But if you do it, you can't really kill her. She'll come back, and then she'll wipe out everything, or wipe out all the superheroes and villains from their concept. So Galactus can get wiped out by this. Later on, though, we do see that this wasn't the case. She wasn't the evil one. The kid was lying to him. She was actually the good one. He was trying to kill her, so when she was in a weakened state, he can take her out. But Quasar realized this, attacked him, and killed him. So he can be destroyed. He's going to come back later on at some point. I don't know. I didn't check out the rest of the Quasar story. She basically gives him his powers back and then gives him a new costume. And then he flies off, and the cosmic being says he's going to come after him at some point. It's not done. And then this transpires to another big story event, a scenario. I would go into it, but it is a whole nother story and scenario and stuff. And I'll just say this. I'm going to be splitting this up to multiple parts. I don't know how many. I do have a lot of images I have to go through and a lot of feats I have to go through. And I'm still pretty far behind when it comes to just in this video alone, so I'm probably gonna have like 3 or 4 videos. So yeah, until next time, I will be uploading part 2. I don't know when, because I'm gonna try to do these all at once, and then I'm gonna try to edit them, and then I'm gonna try to bring them out. But yeah, this is pretty much it for this one. I think this part 1 is already long enough. I don't know how long it is, because I've been doing a lot of in between stuff. But yeah, I will be ending this off. So I hope you guys enjoyed, and stay tuned for next time.